2, 3, 4. Mike and John got it going on. Mike and John got it going on.
And you, too, can have it going on by wearing a shirt just like this guy. That's John of Mike and John Got It Going On. The Walk to End Alzheimer's exclusive.
Right.
Team Got It Going On t-shirts.
Just go to mikeandjohnpodcast.com, click the link at the top of the page, take you to the Team Got It Going On page.
We have a web page with a link.
Yeah.
How about that?
We have links now.
Yes, we do.
Wow. We're at the top of the tech game.
You got that right, fella.
And make a donation of $40 or more, and you, too, will have one of these beautiful t-shirts.
Yes. You can walk with us, saunter, strut, whatever you want to do for the Walk to End Alzheimer's, which is coming up in September. Details on that on the way. Also, coming up today, we'll see if we got a winner in last night's Wednesday night trivia, brought to you by OG sponsor, Firehouse Doors, serving Livingston County for over 25 years. We'll get to that shortly. Also on the way today, Rich Perlberg is back.
Yes.
Back from Alaska.
Exactly.
He's an Alaskan crab.
He was a crab before he went to
Yes,
Alaska,
he
but he's still one now.
He put the crab in Alaska.
He sure did.
He got crabs in Alaska.
He got,
I don't know
he
that
got
for
baked in Alaska.
Sure.
So, but I think we've covered every lame joke.
Did Sarah Palin see him?
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, and we're going to talk about the new driving law, the new cell phone law.
Put that thing down.
Yeah.
And that phone, too.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is soon to be.
Soon to be. What do we got, a week?
Yeah, we're going to
we have a
we'll
little
go
over
through
a
an
week.
explanation of what the law is, and then we'll talk to Rich
all
and
be
we'll all crab about it.
Crystal clear.
We'll all crab about it.
All that, your 2-cent history lesson, and more. It's Mike and John Got It Going On, brought to you by Jordan Genso, community servant, community realtor, show sponsor, and official Giggle realtor. We'll hear more about Jordan in just a bit. In the meantime, a look at local news. Lots of things happening. John with the news, brought to you by Cooper and Binkley Jewelers in downtown Brighton.
All right, here's what's going on. The city of Howell has responded to Tuesday's announcement that they had settled the case of the Amber Reineck House versus the city of Howell for $750,000. The settlement stemmed from a 20-month moratorium imposed by the city in July of 2018 on new sober living and other group homes after neighbors had opposed the Amber Reineck House. Courtney Atsalakis, who launched the Amber Reineck House following her sister Amber's overdose-related death in Christmas of 2015, called the resolution a victory not just for the Amber Reineck House, but for Michigan women who struggle with substance use disorder. But in a press release issued Wednesday by Howell City Manager Irv Suda, the characterization of the settlement as a victory for the plaintiffs was disputed. Suda said the city had tried to work with Atsalakis after she filed a special land use application and that the moratorium was issued while they worked on an ordinance that would meet those requirements. Suda said the lawsuit was then filed before they could introduce it. He then noted that prior to settlement negotiations, 5 of the 9 claims as set forth in the lawsuit were dismissed, and that Atsalakis was able to open a recovery house on Michigan Avenue in the city under the city's current ordinance, while the lawsuit was still ongoing. Suda said the case was settled without trial and the city did not admit to any liability. Both parties negotiated in good faith, he said, after almost 3 years of litigation and discovery as legal fees continued to escalate on both sides. He said the city believes it was never discriminatory during any time in dealing with Atsalakis. A Hamburg Township woman has been arraigned on felony charges after authorities say she tried to rob her own mother. 35-year-old Sally Sharp is charged with 1 count of armed robbery, 1 count of assault with a dangerous weapon, and 1 count of interfering with electronic communications for the June 13th incident. Pinckney police say they were dispatched to a bank in the village on a report from the employees that an older female in the drive-thru lanes had passed a note saying, "Help me, call 911. That woman turned out to be Sharp's mother. Sharp, who was the lone passenger in the vehicle, was placed under arrest after being interviewed by officers. Her mother was unharmed during the incident, which police say began in Hamburg Township at the victim's residence. Sharp remains jailed on a $250,000 cash bond pending a June 27th probable cause conference in front of 53rd District Court Judge Shauna Murphy. And I'm not going to say that having a spider web tattooed on your face is an indicator of criminal activity.
Now you're just like all the people
But
on
I'm
Scanner Chat.
I'm just going to say It probably is. Anyway. Okay.
Prisoner cell blockage comes through.
I just couldn't, it's just...
Hey, no editorializing
you're right.
in the middle of your newscast.
I'm sorry. Just couldn't help myself. And then finally, a really disturbing story.
She's got a tramp stamp too. Hey, move on.
Hey,
stop it.
I just said I have a very disturbing story.
Oh, that wasn't it?
That was
okay.
No.
Very disturbing story.
Well, no, it's it is actually. Authorities searching for the owner of a kitten that was thrown from a moving car in Putnam Township. The Livingston County Sheriff's Office reports Wednesday animal control deputies were dispatched to a residence on the 9,000 block of Farley Road on the report of an animal abuse complaint. The residents reported at about 7 o'clock the night before, Tuesday, they were taking their garbage to the roadway when an older model Chevy Impala, burgundy or maroon in color, drove past, and they witnessed a small black kitten being thrown from the window. The residents began rendering aid to the kitten, which was bleeding and injured, but it ran away. When the kitten returned to the residence on Wednesday, that's when they called animal control, which transported it to the Livingston County Animal Shelter. It was checked by veterinarians and determined not to have any significant injuries. Anybody with information, though, in regards to the case is asked to contact Animal Control Deputy LeBombard. And so that is what's going on.
You're right. That was disturbing.
It was disturbing. A lot of the
yeah.
comments on Facebook were, I hate people, which I agree.
News brought to you by Cooper and Binkley Jewelers in downtown Brighton. It is officially summertime. It's also proposal time. And in order to have a good proposal, you should probably have a ring. Don't be like Mike and not have a ring when you propose. Come to the party bearing gifts.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I had a ring when I proposed.
I had an idea of the ring.
I thought ahead.
But I wasn't around Cooper and Binkley Jewelers at the time.
Right.
But guys, or even girls, if you're thinking of proposing, Cooper and Binkley Jewelers can take care of you. Get that perfect proposal. Shop today at Cooper and Binkley Jewelers in downtown Brighton. Find that perfect ring for that special one of a kind occasion, isn't it? Unless you propose more than once. You want it to be a one of a kind.
The hope. Yeah. That's the hope.
Well, what if you didn't do it? And let's say it's the same person and you didn't do it as good as you thought you should have, and you want to redo, like a mulligan.
You can do a redo.
You could do a redo.
People renew their vows.
Sure. So you could redo the proposal, if you like. When it comes to jewelry, Cooper and Binkley Jewelers in downtown.
Did you say get a mulligan?
Hold on. Can I take two?
Hold on, just a second.
You know what? Hey, you're down on your left knee.
Honey, you go to Lou and Carl's to get lunch. I'm going to cross over to the street over
I'll be
to
right
Cooper
back.
and Binkley, and we're going to do this again.
Stop by and see our friends at Cooper and Binkley Jewelers in downtown Brighton. They'll take care of you. Wednesday night trivia last night. Brought to you by OG sponsor Firehouse Doors. A chance to qualify for tomorrow's drawing of not less than $100 in gift cards to downtown Brighton businesses.
Right.
From Jordan Genso, community serving, community realtor.
You'll be picking up those gift cards at the Sidecar Slider Bar.
According to a survey of shoppers, and you know how you like to be interrupted while you're shopping.
Does anyone do those? Remember there was a time
Like
when
at the
people
mall.
at the mall, can I have 10 minutes of your time for a survey?
Why are they in front of the store I want to go to? According to a survey of shoppers, the most embarrassing thing we can put in our shopping cart is this.
It's a loaded question.
Well, we got some great answers. And you knew somebody, and I would think mostly guys would be thinking this is feminine products. See, to me, I wouldn't be embarrassed of that because obviously
you get
they're
over
not
that.
for you. Yeah,
You get over that. I mean, maybe the first time.
Yeah.
But
what was the first thing that came to mind for you?
Our answer.
Was it really?
So I'm not going to give that.
That's the most embarrassing.
You know.
See, to me, if I was getting depends.
Well, okay, I suppose. I was thinking more hopefully.
It's two opposite ends of the spectrum. Karen said Viagra. Usually you probably don't have that in the cart. It's already in a bag for you. You're getting it via mail. Not that I know of these things.
Wait a
That's
minute.
what I
seem to know a lot about that.
Nancy said head lice treatment. You know you're going to get some looks.
Yeah, but you know
you're
what?
in line.
Especially when you have kids. Yeah. You get that moment where you get your kid's class has lice, and you're like, oh, man.
So athlete's foot and jock hitch products.
Well, yeah.
Stuff you need.
Yeah.
Maybe a shop at night. Nobody's around. Self-scan.
Michael Tipton said, Mad Dog 2020. I want to get drunk, and I want to get drunk cheap.
Let's see. Debbie said laxatives. Foot cream or powder.
Yeah. Madonna said suppositories because then they know you're full of it. Hey-oh. Well, Madonna's retired now. Maybe she can become a writer for this show.
Hemorrhoid cream, prunes, prune juice.
Yeah. Mary said a plunger. You know, if you have enough prune juice, you can need the plunger eventually. So,
that is a good guess, because usually when you're buying a plunger, it's not because you needed it before, it's you need it now.
well, especially if you're like in a hurry and it's the only thing in your cart. You're like, come on, let's go, ring it up, let's go.
Laura said an enema.
Yeah.
Let's see, pregnancy test.
Yeah, that said denture glue.
Yeah.
Brandon posted a GIF.
Yeah. Well, you can read that.
You can go to our Facebook page. I mean, it's a feminine hygiene product. We'll leave it at that.
Raylan said underwear. I wouldn't be embarrassed, but I guess if you're buying it, if it's like usually guys' underwear, there's like a 5-pack or a 4-pack, 10-pack.
Well, and they're all rolled up now, and they don't. You know, it's not the big tidy whitey bag of 10 or 20.
But for ladies, a lot of times it's on a hanger.
Right.
You know, so that may be. Oh, you gonna wear that?
But again, if it's the only thing in your cart and you're like, let's go. Hurry up. Like, whoa.
That just says you don't want to do laundry.
Weren't you just in here with the plunger?
Audrey said an FM radio. And I liked Greg's answer. He said a screaming child.
Oh,
that
yeah.
can bring embarrassment, although this isn't something you're picking up at the store.
If you're buying a screaming child, I don't know.
That's a little questionable.
Audrey said an FM radio. You should be embarrassed.
Yes.
When you hear what's on FM these days.
And a few people got our answer correct.
Right.
And it was, do you want to use the technical term? The street term.
Okay. You tell me. I'll let you handle this.
Well, the first one I believe to get it was Joe Kathy Carney.
Okay.
It was prophylactics.
I can't spell that.
Prophylactics.
So I'm just going to
they went old school
Yeah.
with that. Yes, condoms was the correct answer. Now, I don't know. Would you be embarrassed? Because a lot of people, we got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people.
I mean, I suppose, right.
It's kind of like, well, you're playing it safe,
Yeah.
or hey, I'm getting lucky with somebody I don't know.
I mean, you know,
Having a one-nighter?
and if you're throwing the XLs down on the thing and the cashier's like, really?
Right.
Okay.
I doubt it, fella.
Sure. Whatever you think you need to tell yourself. Weren't you just here with the plungers and the underwear?
If you're that embarrassed, just go to the gas station where
The machine.
You don't even see those anymore, do you? Unless
No.
you're along Georgia and along 75. Stopping at
and I'm sure those
BP or something.
I'm sure those are quality
Sure.
that haven't been in there for 15 years.
The lucky trucker.
Yeah. Okay.
Getting that in a pine tree air freshener for the truck. Yeah, gonna get lucky tonight. So that's our answer. And
Right,
congratulations to, let's see, we had
Many
Dawn,
people.
Mary, Susan, Bart, and Joe Carney.
Right.
Joe Kathy Carney.
Joe Kathy Carney. They'll
Joe
be
Kathy
in the drawing
Great
tomorrow for the at least $100 in gift certificates, and they'll pick those up at the Sycar Slider Bar. And, of course, our trivia brought to you by our OG sponsor, Firehouse Doors, serving Livingston County for more than 25 years. Great quality service, maintenance, and products, all at Firehouse Doors. Give them a call, 810-599-7480.
All right, so we're going to cover a couple of things with Rich Perlberg.
Right.
One of which is the new hands-free cell phone laws that go into effect a week from tomorrow. So just in time for the 4th of July holiday weekend.
Right.
So there's some confusion and questions.
It's a hands-free law. And actually, one of our local legislators, Representative Mike Muller from Linden, he was one of the ones one of the bills that was part of this whole package was his as well. And he's a former Livingston County Sheriff's deputy. So, but there's a lot of questions, as you said, about what is and is not legal.
And with the cell phone, it's mostly because of the distracted driving.
Right.
So there are other things that can distract you, but the cell phone has become the number one thing.
Right. Now, I saw this video yesterday on Facebook. It was actually the Ingham County Sheriff, Gene Rigglesworth. Hey, that's his name. And
Like a cat.
so,
Mr. Wrigglesworth.
and he did a video where he started going through like, this is what's legal and this is what will not be legal. So it's a few minutes long. I thought it was pretty informative because I think there's so many questions out there. So let's watch that or listen to that now, and then we'll get Rich on the line and we'll all bitch about it. So here you go.
Ingham County Sheriff want to take a second and remind you that on June 30th, 2023, Michigan is becoming a hands-free state with respect to cell phones and operating a motor vehicle. Come June 30th, 2023, you will no longer be able to have a cell phone in your hand, basically for any reason, when you're driving a car or a motor vehicle. You'll still be able to summons police, fire, EMS, and call 911, but other than that, you're no longer able to have your cell phone in your hand. So what will you not be allowed to do? You'll simply not be allowed to, if your phone rings, pick it up and talk on it. You'll simply not be able to dial a number and talk on it. You won't be able to put it to your ear, but even though your hands aren't touching it, because eventually you'll have to touch it to put it down. You'll no longer be able to have the cell phone in your hand to change your navigation system. You'll no longer be able to have your cell phone in your hand to change your music on your Pandora, whatever streaming platform you're using. What else will you not be able to do? Well, here's a perfect example. I'm approaching a stop sign. I see people do this all the time. When they're stopped, they'll take the opportunity while they're stopped to get out their phone, dial that number, change that music station, check their social media, send a text. Operating is the key word come June 30th, 2023. You're still considered operating a motor vehicle on a public roadway, even if you're stopped at a stoplight or stop sign. Speaking of stoplights, we're approaching one here. You'll no longer at a stoplight, even though stopped, be able to pick up your phone and do anything on it. How many times have we had to honk the horn at somebody that stopped at a red light? They're so distracted by their phone, the light turns from red to green, and they don't go because they're oblivious to everything that's going on around them. Now, you'll still be able to talk on your cell phone through Bluetooth, through a headset, through earbuds, through speakerphone if it's docked. You just no longer will be able to have that cell phone in your hand while you're talking on it. We even see this. This is kind of a new thing. People talking on their phone like that, nope, no longer be able to do it. What will you be able to do? Just talked about that. There are still ways you're going to be able to utilize and communicate on your cell phone via voice, just not with it in your hand. Now, we know people are all over the place with this new law. Some people love it, other people hate it. I've even heard some people describe it as yet another freedom we're losing. Well, I don't think anybody has the freedom to be so distracted on their cell phone to endangering themselves or the rest of the traveling public. So June 30th, 2023 is a huge day for Michigan. It's only a couple weeks away. You need to get in better habits while we're driving. You need to buy a docking station. You need to keep that cell phone in your pocket because come June 30th, 2023, you're no longer going to simply be able to do this under any circumstances unless you're summoning help. So be ready. It's coming. Drive safe out there, and I appreciate your time.
All right.
Sounds fair to me. And it sounds like, you know what?
Yeah.
I think everybody, once they see that video, and I'm sure it'll be played a lot, and a lot of the news stations will be covering this. I think the thing is that everybody's going to comply, and we won't have any problems.
Oh yeah, everyone. You know how we are as a people. We agree generally.
I
on
really
things.
hate when people talk on their phones like this. It really bothers me.
See, you're gonna like this new law.
I'm going to call Rich, and I'm going to talk like this because this is how those people. Oh, I'm driving and I'm talking. You might as well have a drool bucket in front of you. So,
Good morning.
Rich, are you in your car?
I am not.
Okay, good thing.
All right, good
thing.
Are you
All
touching your phone?
I don't have. I'm in. I am on. I'm holding the phone
Okay,
on a
okay.
Bluetooth. What is this Bluetooth they speak of anyway?
Yeah,
When you
well,
have that little
you know.
thing in your ear. See, this is the thing. You have to, when you go to hang up, you'll have to tap your ear,
Oh,
and that's a distraction too. What if you miss your ear? You
Yeah.
know, you're poking your head. People go, "What's wrong with that guy?"
So, we just watched a video from Ingham County Sheriff Gene Wigglesworth where he kind of went through all the do's and don'ts on the new hands-free law that goes into effect June 30th.
I saw that, and did that guy have some pretty severe 10-2 driving? His arms were in a cast. They were so stiff, and really he was more 11-130 driving.
Oh, okay. Not gonna pay. Yeah. Well, we did notice. We were like, hey, you're touching your phone. Oh, that's illegal. Well,
Not yet.
After June 30th.
Not yet.
Right.
Not yet. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, with the distracted driving, obviously the phone is probably the number one thing that distracts us most. And then, you obviously have other things, and you did mention a few, whether it's changing a station or your GPS, those kind
Or
of
putting
things.
on makeup, shaving. Those are all of those. Yeah.
Right.
And what about food? Look at how many
Oh
times
my
you
gosh!
drop
Yes.
that
So-
fry, and you're like, I got to find that thing.
Now, technically, all of those things are covered in the sense that you can't be legally cannot
Use your
distract-
phone to eat.
you legally cannot distract yourself from the roadway. So, in other words, if you get into a crash because you were picking up that French fry on the other side, that's illegal.
And that's the thing. It's in the passenger side on the floor. You know that's where it went, or under the seat.
Right. That's already covered. You have to keep your eyes on the road. You have
Okay.
to maintain control of your vehicle. So all those things are sort of covered in that sense.
They're covered, but people still do
Yeah.
it just as much as they talk on their phones.
But I do think that it's a credible
I think the
question.
phone's more.
I think it's a credible question to ask and totally understand why this law is going into effect. I mean, there's just been so many stories of distracted driving that have led to fatalities from people on their cell phones.
Well, and there is just so many stupid people out
Well,
there. There, as he
if
mentioned,
you
the
outlaw
guy at the
stupid,
light.
we're going to start building prisons more. But when you think about it, it's not illegal for me to, as far as I know, it's not illegal technically for me to adjust the temperature controls on my car. Or it's not illegal for me to adjust, I've got the panel on my car now. He said navigation. So for instance, I have a 2017 Rogue or whatever, and it's got a little panel that has a navigation system on it that's touchscreen. I can touch that, I think, legally. I'm not quite.
No, I think
it's not my
you
phone.
can, but you're. I think you're getting to the point, and I understand it. But just because you can't make the perfect law doesn't mean you should pass up on a good law. You can't. I mean, even what he said is that you can still talk on the phone if you use hands-free devices. And years ago, there were studies that came out and said, no, that's just as unsafe. I mean, it's not holding the phone as much as paying attention to a phone call and listening to having a phone conversation is still distracted driving. You're driving this speeding weapon down the road. You should be paying attention to driving, but there's just no way to legislate against that. I got no problem with the phone legislation. I've just watched too many people where I've been behind them and their car's been drifting across the lanes, or they slow down and you pass them and there's yakking on the phone.
Hey,
It's
if you're
dangerous.
going to be perfectly reasonable, then I don't know why we're even talking to you.
No,
I've been off for like a couple weeks. Okay, I'll get back.
Well, no,
Yes.
really, that's one of the main reasons I stopped riding a motorcycle, because driving a motorcycle was because
yes.
I'd be right next to somebody and they'd be chatting away on their
Right.
phone, and I'm like, this
Right.
guy or woman has no clue as to what's around them.
Yeah.
And as a motorcycle rider, you want people to know you're around. And they're not looking for you as much as they would be looking at other
Well,
vehicles.
they don't see you.
So,
That's been proven. They just don't see you. I would never ride a motorcycle.
Well-
Not because it's because of the lack of skill of the four-wheel drivers. They're going to hit you, and you're going to lose.
I mean, that's even if they're not on a phone half the time.
No,
they
and
don't- they're not
the phone
even
just
seeing-
added to it, and
right.
it became more and more obvious as the more I rode. So I was like, all right, that's it.
But I think
The bigger concern I would have as a civil libertarian is the chance for abuse. That the police say they can always find a reason to stop you.
Right.
Broken.
Yeah.
and this
tailor
is
or
another
something.
one.
This is another one, but I think they put some fairly. I think the penalties are fairly weak early on.
I
You've
was
got
gonna
to
say,
be a
do we know
multiple
what-
offender.
Well, and I noted earlier that one of the bills in the package was put together. It was added by Representative Mike Muller from Linden.
Yeah.
former Livingston County Sheriff's deputy. And his particular bill was that there would be a 3-year study on this law, its implementation, and its effect, which I think that's a great idea to say, like, all right, we're going to do this law, but at the same time, simultaneously, let's study and see if it actually works, or see how it could be improved later on.
Well, find out what happens. Yeah, you mean actually learn something and know more.
Data, I know. Data,
this
information.
could lead to some really unfortunate
right.
trends.
You mentioned fairly lenient on the ticket, so to speak. Do we know what it is? What the cost is, like, for first time? Let's say they
has something changed? Am I supposed to do research on these topics?
I'm just wondering what it is. I mean, is it $500 if you're at a stoplight?
No,
you're the only guy that gets through because you spend so much time doing that text or whatever.
That was part that your Wiggles sheriff, what's his name? Wigglesworth. That I didn't realize that if you stop at a stop sign or a stoplight, you still can't.
Right.
You still can't.
Nope. If the car is engaged.
What if you put it in park? If you're at a stoplight, you put it in park.
Yeah.
You're just keep your foot on the brake.
You're in the roadway. So it's
There's an exit at Gaylord where I get off to go to Boyne, and it's a kind of a short light anyway. And I swear to God, one car gets through because the guy at the front is
right.
looking at his phone and never turns.
Yeah, we've always said that you have. Look, there's very few things as a society that we require of you. One of them should be that if you're the first car in a left-hand turn lane,
you got to have your
obligation
responsibility.
to pay attention.
Yeah.
I know. Make that a law. Make that a law.
Right. I'm working on it. So it's $100 civil fine for a first-time offense and or 16 hours of community service, followed by $250 fines for each subsequent violation and 24 hours of community
I don't even
service.
think you get points, so it
doesn't look like it. Right.
Yeah. But I mean, I would hope it would be just an attitude thing. I mean, it's tough. I mean, if you're going to make that law, and I've always wondered about this. They've had a law against texting, but how can an officer driving down the road know whether you're texting or talking? I think it's got to be all or nothing, which they've done. If you have the phone in your hand,
right.
you're breaking the law.
It's about touching the phone, right? I mean, you're right, because they can't know.
What if you have one of those WeatherTech phone holders and you have it on speaker? You can do
That's
that.
Okay.
It's done.
Okay.
But then you can't hand out.
You can't punch the button with
How
your
do you
finger.
turn it off?
Right.
Well, that's with Bluetooth. You should have the Bluetooth enabled. That you should be able to say whatever the
Can you
command
do
is.
things on your steering wheel? Does that work? Can you control buttons? Because I know I can.
Yeah, you
I have like
cruise control.
volume control on my steering wheel, and that's important.
Cruise control.
And so
if I've got a movie playing on my phone and I want to rewind it,
okay. Well,
see, now that's the bad. You look at that. You talk about distracted driving. You've seen people with those screens hanging down their minivans, and you're like, you got to catch up with them to catch up with the movie.
Right? You're like, oh wait, this is a good scene.
Oh, they're watching Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Look at that. He's telling the ball to
I
go
want to
home.
see that Bob Barker scene.
Yeah. Well, like you said earlier, though, Rich. I mean, to be serious, though, you're right. If you're gonna, there's no such thing as a perfect law. It is trying to provide some
if it curbs some of the accidents
remedy.
and the stupidity.
Right.
But in all seriousness, this got pushed by a guy. I think he's an auto executive whose son was killed by a distracted driver.
As a matter of
pretty
fact,
serious stuff.
There's a section of I-96 between Howell and Lansing that is named after him, and I think it's...
Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that section is. I forgot the name of it, but and it's like, it's named in his honor. This kid who was killed by a distracted driver who was on their phone. So yeah, I mean that we joke and have some fun, all right. But that's the ultimate tragedy: is how many people have been injured and killed by distracted driving crashes due to cell phone usage, which is now ubiquitous. I mean, everybody and their grandmother has a phone, and we use it for everything, even navigation. I mean, my kids.
I use my phone for GPS all the time.
I do too, but I also have a general idea of like where north is.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Whereas I think, I mean, I'm one of these kids these days, but literally it's all whatever Waze tells them or whatever their GPS tells them. That's the only way they know how to navigate.
Sometimes
I know it's tough, but you talk about this stuff about distracted. I don't know what service I got with my car, but I got one of those music services where you get different satellite stations coming
Right.
in.
Good
you can
for
pick
you.
Your favorite. You can pick your favorite songs. I got different artists and stuff, and I'm constantly looking around because I don't have the patience to wait for the next song in case I like it or not. I'll
Right.
search around them, and that's distracted driving. I don't
Absolutely.
think I'm very safe when I'm doing that.
Kind of like when we would fast forward a cassette.
Yeah, don't be making fun of those cassettes.
heck no.
buddy.
You know, you think back to the days in the 70s when we had the turntables in our cars. That was a real.
Well, you had to crank them up too every time. Those 78s didn't play by themselves.
So yeah, June
Does
30th.
anybody know what a 78 is?
We were just talking about that yesterday. It was in our 2 cent history lesson because that's where it belongs. It was about the birth of the 33 and a third.
The LP.
My parents actually had some 78s
Yeah, mine
in
did
their
too.
collection, and I remember pulling it out and I'm like, "What is this?"
It was a little smaller.
Right,
It
and
was kind of in between the size of a 45 and an LP.
Well, and it was like super thick.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that was good plastic.
You could serve a meal on that. You could serve a meal at a hunting lodge to a Supreme Court justice.
No, we're getting into a different topic now.
Sorry.
But I do want to say, if there's any billionaires out there that have empty seats on their private planes, I am also available to take that seat.
I tell you, I just went to Alaska and I did not get offered a seat on a plane to $1,000 a night lodge. I'm just wondering
It's
what's
the
wrong.
strangest
You
thing.
gotta have connections, man.
Hey, by the way,
And a robe.
we were asking earlier, did you go on a cruise to Alaska?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Flew to Anchorage and then rented a car,
Ah.
which we got very lucky. Apparently, getting a car in Alaska is not an easy thing.
What's the weather like in Alaska here when it's the end of spring and beginning of summer here?
Well, they were saying it had been colder and wetter than normal. We had mostly 60-degree days, and it was quite comfortable. We went down to Seward, and it apparently rains every day. And we got down there the one day it didn't rain, so it was. We were pretty happy with the
Look
weather.
at you
but
bringing the sunshine.
All right.
that's what people describe me. Here comes the
God,
sunshine.
yes.
Mr.
Absolutely.
Sunshine.
Mister, we're going to rename the segment. It's time for Mr. Sunshine. All right. Well, we apparently, know something more, but really less, and we appreciate that.
Okay, but let's be clear here. Any new information came from you guys.
This is true.
It did.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, it did.
Sure.
We're
He's
all
trying to
over it.
maintain his brand.
That's right. All right, the less we know.
So,
I'm going for a T-shirt.
yeah, we got it.
I know less.
All right.
Do you even know your cell phone number?
Yeah,
You know your own. It's like even your wife's
That's
or
hard.
your,
Yeah.
a child's.
What's
You're
the
like,
kid's phone number?
I don't know.
It's in my contacts. I just hit that.
I used to be great at numbers, and now, and it took me a long time. You're going to not believe this, but it took me a long time to figure out speed dial. But now I used to have to dial people's numbers, but now I can actually push their thing. So
their name.
I mean I used to know numbers pretty well. I don't mind because it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But that's about the only one I know. I don't know my kids. I lost a phone once, and I needed to call my kid on somebody else's phone, and I didn't know their number.
I mean, I still remember the street address of the house I spent 4 years in as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well, you
know,
had to learn that in elementary school.
Right,
It's like
but I
learn your
don't,
phone number, your area code. And
Why I don't.
I know my phone number from when I grew up. Viking 64761.
Wow.
That's pretty
You
good.
had a word? Oh my gosh. Okay.
We had to word it Viking. That was eight. Yeah, Viking.
Okay. Well, you're old.
That's like Tyler 1-800.
Of course, I also remember when
I never denied that, guys. I told you from the first show.
Right. I remember when my area code used to be 313, and I did not live in the city of Detroit, so
There were 4 area codes, and all the area codes had either a 0 or a 1 in the middle. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, and
I never thought of that.
I remember when we were kids, we started in Livonia with a 313, and then they changed it to 734.
Yeah.
And that really messed with people.
yeah. I was
That
in,
did.
Well, I was in Troy, and we went from 313 to 810,
Oh, yeah.
and then to 248. So
Well, when
that
I
really
first came to
doubles
Livingston County, it was really amazing because there were two area codes.
I thought everything
The
was
county was
517
split.
here.
Well, there was, and
now there's
you
3.
could call from one side of the county to the other, and even though there were different area codes, it wasn't long distance. I thought that was amazing.
Well, now there's 3.
Technology has hit its peak.
Right, because now
Nothing-
Livingston County now has 517, obviously, but also 810 and 734
yeah,
is also originates here as well. So that's weird. I don't know.
Well, we haven't figured that out either. All right, put yourself.
Okay, we got a topic for next
All
week,
right,
and people will be lining up to listen to this.
God, yeah, they will.
Get my rotary phone out.
All right, thanks, Rich.
You bet.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Well, we solved nothing on that, but at least we got the word out on how it's supposed to be when you
Right,
drive.
and everyone's going to.
sure
Although
everybody
there was I don't have it ready, but I actually saw another video of a news report from 1984 when the new seatbelt law went into effect in Michigan, and it was a reporter. I think he was in Kalamazoo, and he went to like a local bar and he interviewed a bunch of people about it, and it was pretty illuminating because they were all saying, I think, a lot of the same thing. They're taking away our rights, and I won't. You can't make me. And now, of course, seatbelts are just
second nature.
But
maybe that's how cell phones will become 10 years from now, or we'll just be thinking of
they'll
calling
just
somebody
put
and
this
we'll
chip
telepathically call them
in our brain. Well, of course, they already did that with vaccines. But anyway,
that's what it was. AT&T were the ones that set that up, weren't they?
That's what happened. Yeah.
All right. Are we ready for the 2-cent history lesson?
Oh my God, are we not ready?
We need to learn something.
We do, but before we do that,
yes,
we need to learn more about our show sponsor, Jordan Genso.
Do we know more about Jordan? His favorite color is blue.
Yeah. We did learn a little bit more this week.
Yeah, we did.
Of course, he's with Remax Platinum. We knew that. And, of course, community servant, community realtor. We knew that. 15 years of experience in Livingston County real estate. We knew that.
Remembered that for the quiz.
You can give him a call, 248-444-9777. We knew that. What we did only learn this week was that his favorite at the Sidecar Slider Bar
the PB&J.
is the PB&J slider. Which, of course, Sidecar Slider Bar is where the winner of tomorrow's drawing will go to pick up their $100 in, at least $100.
Yes, not less than $100 in gift cards from local Main Street businesses, courtesy of Jordan Genso.
Right.
All right.
Now, 2-cent history lesson.
June 22nd. It's National Onion Rings Day. It's also National Chocolate Eclair Day. And this came from France. I'm not talking the ice cream. I'm talking the, the treat.
Yeah.
The chocolate eclair.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a cream-filled donut now.
Kind of, sort of.
The long...
I'll take an eclair. You don't even have to say chocolate or cream-filled.
Yeah.
It's also Stupid Guy Thing Day.
Wives are thinking, that's every day.
But this is a day to recognize it. Maybe grab those videos of your stupid guy doing something stupid and sending it to
AFV.
America's Funniest Videos. Who knows? Maybe that stupid guy could win you $10,000.
That's always possible.
Yes. And when you look at that stuff, I got to say, most of them are guys doing
Oh, God, yeah.
stupid things.
Come on now.
Usually getting hit in the private parts.
Well, that's always it.
And you see it coming.
Well, right. They'll put a video up. It hasn't even run. Like the free, it'll be frozen. You're like,
it's going to happen.
You can see.
There it is.
You do the geometry. You're like, okay, let's see. 6-year-old child. He's this high. Father standing this high.
In his hand.
Yeah, I can already see how this is all going to work out.
1846, Antoine Sax invented the saxophone. Sexy music. It's on this day in 1847 the donut was created.
Well, that was Eclair Day.
Well, it is, but the donut was created.
Maybe
on
that's
this
why
day.
it's Eclair Day.
I don't know. I'm not in charge of what days it is.
And really, donut is just like somebody was like, hey, if I take this dough and I throw it in this oil...
And I make it round. It looks like a nut.
This tastes good.
Sure. 1874, the game of lawn tennis was introduced.
Come on, everybody.
Cut the lawn. The ball's not bouncing high enough.
Lawn tennis.
Yes. Well, that's that's how they play at Wimbledon, right?
Come on, Wigglesworth.
Don't bring the sheriff into this.
Sorry.
It's on this day, 1894. The first auto race was run in France.
Oh.
The winner, a steam-powered car, went 17 miles per hour.
Well, hey, slow down.
So if you're on I-96 in the flex lane zone, that car's going faster than you are on any given day.
That's true.
Now, in 1939, the first water ski jump competition was held. The winner? The only person that actually made the jump successfully.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll do it. I thought I was the only person that entered. But they actually made the jump. All right. Was it Fonzie? No.
Close. Florida passed a law in 1990 prohibiting wearing a thong bathing suit.
Well,
You know, because usually those that are wearing thongs, you wouldn't want to see in a thong anyway.
but you can't prohibit. It seems like a silly law, but on the other hand, there's just a lot of times you're like, really?
All right, how many
Yeah.
times have you seen someone in yoga pants that probably shouldn't be? And say there should be a law against that.
Just to each their own.
Yes.
But yeah, it's right.
And finally, the year 2000, after giving himself various new identities during the 1990s, the artist formerly known as Prince announced that he would like to be known as Prince again.
Right.
Not Prince again, just
No,
Prince.
just Prince.
Again.
Classic Prince.
Yes.
Not new Prince, but classic Prince.
You know, you would have thought with these guys that changed their names so many times, they would have learned from New Coke.
Well, actually, Prince, that whole thing, that was actually
That was a record,
it was a very astute, he was a very astute manager because he basically was like, I have no control over my image, because of the record deals and how my songs are released and produced. And so he very savvy said, I'm going to take the value out of the name Prince until the record company kind of relented and was like, fine, whatever.
The
Oh
symbol
my God,
thing,
just stop it.
the artist.
And he got control of all his stuff.
You got to control your stuff.
You do have to control your stuff.
Control your stuff.
Control it, will you?
If there's a lesson to be learned from
Yeah.
this, it's control your stuff. And that's your 2-cent history lesson for today.
Wow. One thing to keep your stuff controlled is to make sure you take your vehicle to Murphy's Family Auto, especially before the new June 30th law.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that like your Bluetooth and all that, those systems, because the vehicles are very complicated now.
Yeah.
Well, for me. But you want to make sure all that's working.
Sure.
All your electronics.
Sure.
They have expert electrical, computer diagnostics.
Wow. That's CD for those that are keeping track. Also, the regular maintenance, too.
Well,
like
yeah, that too.
Tire alignment, oil changes,
Wheel balancing,
all that kind of fun stuff.
all the good stuff.
Stuff you don't want to do yourself because you probably don't know how.
Murphy'sFamilyAuto.com. They're open Saturdays 8 to 1. Tell them Mike and John sent you. You'll save 5%.
And not just on Saturdays. You can use it
Well,
all
yeah,
week
no,
long.
that's
Just so you
that
know,
would go, any day, I suppose.
Yeah. And you can even tell your friends, hey, tell them Mike and John sent you, and they'll get the discount too. It's a little
And
insider.
they told two friends.
That's an
and they
insider
told two
tip.
friends.
That's an insider savings tip.
Insider savings. Hey, we're
Insider
don't get
savings.
investigated. I'm sorry, is there insider savings?
Yes.
Up against the
Well, you
wall.
got to listen to the podcast to know, right?
I saw you touch your cell phone while you're doing some insider savings.
All right, that's our show for
Yes.
today.
So tomorrow,
Thank goodness.
of course, we'll catch up with Bonnie Runyon. Check in with Torch 180. We'll do our drawing for the at least $100 in gift certificates.
We'll give you another chance to qualify tonight in TNT
All right, pay attention.
Dynamite.
Thank you. Bon Scott.
ACDC.
Because it's tea.
You've been giggling with Mike and John. Tune in next time and giggle on.